Okay, my name is Andrew Bennett. This is for Intercultural Communications, Wednesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Dr. Carmini. This is attempt and day number 5 of trying to record and submit a reaction video. The time is approximately 17:30. Edit time start now. Well, I read over the material. I read about the small community near Mexico, where they had a growing culture. And to read it, it reads a little weird, but I kind of think that's where the author was going with it, to show that learning about cultures can be weird. It can be shocking. It can sound funny and strange. And even if you read it in English, it'll sound funny and strange when you explain things a certain way when you're not used to them. And that's the big thing, is the culture is something you're not used to. It doesn't make it different. It doesn't make it bad. It makes it something you're not used to. And understanding something you're not used to is something we don't get a lot of exposure to here in America. So to read over something and kind of pick it apart was very interesting. To start with, it starts with a shrine in the morning. That is a very, very big deal to these peoples. And I mean, the more you read through it, the more you start to realize, oh, this shrine is a mirror, and people are tough on themselves and their images in mirrors. And I think that's more applicable to our society than you would think. But the way it reads, you wouldn't think that at all. It sounds like a shrine. We don't have those. It's just a mirror. But to them, that may be the way they see it. That may be what they call it. That may be the word for it there. We don't know. Um, Everything done in the shrine is done alone. Uh, it's not a family event. Uh, in the shrine, there is a special box. That special box has what we would call medication. They have their medicine men, their witch doctors, their different ways of administering healing practices to each other. But roughly written in this one, they have some pills they take out of the medicine cabinet each morning. Uh, Next one breaks into hygiene a bit, and hygiene is actually one that is incredibly different around the world. Very different around the world. Not bad, but it's probably one of the ones that shocks people the most, by far. So it moves into using bristles to pierce into the mouth, the dirty, horrible mouth, and scrub away residue. So what we're talking about is brushing teeth. We do that every day. That's something we do multiple times a day. But to read it like that sounds misguided, terrifying. So as you can see, just the way something is worded can make it scary, even if you don't really understand it, even though it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Then it goes on to the Holy Mouth Man, the dentist. It talks about shaving beards for men, hospitals, and how kids hate them. Um, Everyone in their home, that is the person writing this from their point of view, a person's home. Everyone in the house is sick. They have a doctor coming over. Um, and it's kind of going through the medical processes of having a doctor come, which again is something very different in our society. We have mega hospitals. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of the world's best doctors, where you could go to a country who is very well off and take 60 miles in an eastern direction and end up somewhere that has no doctor, no hospital, no medicine, and you need to figure out another way to heal yourself, and using that culture to do it is going to be very beneficial. Next, I'm going to move on to something that I think is part of American tradition, and describe it as weirdly as I can. So, one of the things I find most unique about American tradition is we have something here that is special to people's time of year. It's special to people's calendars. They set their clocks by it. They prepare all year for it. They bond with their families over it. They bond with friends over it. They make lifetime friendships over it. It can destroy a friendship. It can destroy a family. Um, and all year, they spend days and hours of their years, money, on supporting this idea that comes once a year that they live by. They buy clothes for it, they buy cars for it, they buy each other presents, and they spend their time and their money on it, their hard earned time to money. And it's been a part of them since they were children most of the time, since they were babies. They were raised in it. Their clothes were in it. The colors, the streamers, the logos. Um, and ultimately, about, what would that be? About 60-ish years ago, this inception happened and part of American culture. And since then, it has been essentially a part of American culture by definition. So it may not be that old, but America isn't that old either. So our culture isn't that old. It's growing every day. That's how a culture has grown. It's grown over thousands of years. So when people say America has no culture, you're right. Neither did Italy 7 days after it was established. So we are growing our culture all the time. And this one is going to be here forever. When it comes, families get together, tens of thousands of people get together in one place, predetermined by a society, a board, and they meet and they are happy and they're sad and they're angry. They feel so many emotions. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're crying, they're laughing, they're with their best friends, they're with their mortal enemies. And for about an hour, they combat each other. There are streamers and colors and yelling and crowds. And for an hour to 2 hours, these two sides go at each other until one has to come out victorious. Until next year. Next year it happens again. It also happens to be coming up pretty soon. It's the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has been part of our culture since the 60s. It used to be the NFL and the AFL. And the two champions of those two teams finally decided we should see who's the better of the two. And they had no idea that the next year, in 1967, they would be creating a new term for a new game called the Super Bowl. And since then, the Super Bowl has sold out on every account for every year, both media and in person, consistently. It is the number one growing, capital growing sports entertainment event across the world. By viewer, it is only matched or beaten by the FIFA World Cup, which the FIFA World Cup is played in 136 countries. The Super Bowl is played in one. So that's still pretty impressive. As it's grown over time, the world around it has also grown. When it started in the 60s, we didn't have the television we'd have today. We didn't have TikTok or internet or anything like that. As well as the people we idolize in this country have grown with the Super Bowl. And now it is a show of talent, musical performance. The celebrities from all over the world come and they meet there and they watch. And the grandeur, the celebration of whoever wins, the streamers, the trophies. It's a massive celebration, unprecedented around the world. But it's just a Super Bowl. And when you explain it like that, it sounds so much bigger than a game of football. But the implications it has on our culture will resound for hundreds of years, if we're here 100 years from now. But that is, in essence, what it is to build a culture, to define a culture, to micro brew a culture. You have to adapt and learn to the world that you're growing in, creating. And if you're a new culture, that's exciting. You get to build it every day. If you're part of an old culture, that's also exciting. You also get to learn new cultures. So the implications of us growing a culture as well as microcultures within our country is this beautiful transitic picture that gets painted of histories and futures and presents and old ideas and new ideas and peoples from all over the world. And that's what makes us pretty special. But I hope I've touched on everything you need me to here. I'll probably see you on attempt number 6 when this doesn't go through again. I hope you have a good day.